Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the best brawlers for every single class inside of Brawl Stars. So this can help you in a few different ways. This can just help you like broaden your brawler depth in terms of what brawlers you think you need to upgrade, especially to keep up with the meta and especially to progress in ranked. You need pretty much a couple of maxed out brawlers in every single one of these categories. So I know the classes could be a lot better and more refined inside of Brawl Stars, but I think most of these are still pretty fine and to go by. So let's start off with tanks then. So one of the best tanks in the game absolutely has to be Hank right now. So the reason why I love Hank is because he can be paired with a lot of support brawlers, but he's just good as a standalone brawler. Any map with a lot of walls, he's going to be able to get a lot of pressure. He's just really hard to take down, and he's pretty easy to play for the most part. So Hank is a fantastic tank. Trunk is one of my favorite tanks right now because he's a tank that can actually make explosive plays. So he kind of turns himself into an assassin, and he can tank a lot thanks to not only his star power that can reduce a lot of damage, but it can also tank a lot through his healing gadget. You can literally tank so many big shots, well, just the biggest damage shot, which will help you win a lot of 1v1s. And like I said, with Trunk, you can make explosive plays with his super, so I just love him. And the final tank on this list has to be Ollie. So even after the nerfs, a lot of people think Ollie would have died, but he's still such a fantastic tank. And it's one of two reasons, because you can swap builds pretty easily with Ollie. If it's a map with a lot of walls, you can use a speed star power. If you're facing off against maybe brawlers might outrange you a lot, you can go the jump gadget. Facing off against assassins, you can use the other gadget, which pulls people in. He's just super versatile, and it's still the same thing, right? If the opponents are shooting you a lot and you're managing just to farm that hypercharge just through taking damage, that hypercharge can still win you the game. It's that broken. So Ollie's easily one of the best tanks. So now moving on to people's favorite category, I believe. Well, it seems in terms of data, assassins is people's favorite because they keep flipping releasing them. But at the same time, people keep complaining about them. But it's not as many broken assassins this time, okay? I'm very angry at previous metas, guys, as you can tell by the hypercharges. Anyways, we start off with Lily. Oh, it's going to make me angry talking about Lily because Lily's vanish gadget is so broken. How many times have we said that? Hypercharge, very good. Lily is one of the best brawlers inside of Gem Grab. And especially for, like, you got to treat Lily kind of like Leon. You just constantly like going invisible. You constantly try not to be seen, and you just want to be assassinating most snipers. And Lily's one of the best brawlers at doing that. Next for the assassins, we have Ali, and I have been kind of spreading the Ali propaganda probably a bit too much because she's not as good as I thought in the meta, but she's easily one of the best brawlers in the game still, like a A-tier brawler. And that's just thanks to how hard she counters control compositions, specifically like throwers, you know, like roughs. She can just destroy those matchups so easily, and it's all about abusing her enrage feature, the gadget, just getting so much value out of her jump. She can just be a nightmare to deal with. And lastly, for the assassins, we have Kaze. So she's still the best assassin in the game, and that's just thanks to overall her ability just to be able to do a lot of different things. Whether you want to keep up the pressure with her fan form, just being able to dash and get so much map control, go constantly invisible. If you want to get a lot of area control, use her, use her fan super. If you want to just kill people, use ninja super. There's so much to like about Kaze, and she's still one of the best brawlers inside of a game. Now let's move over to the support category. So the support brawlers are finally returning to the meta, and there's quite a few of them that are really good that are going to miss out on this list, unfortunately. Brawlers like Gus, Max aren't going to make it. Even like Gray's becoming very good in this meta, Jae Young. But let's start off with Ruffs. So Ruffs easily is an S-tier brawler in the meta right now. So you could kind of, yeah, he's kind of a support brawler, but I would more so consider him as like kind of a damage dealer controller, really, like controlling an area always with a Ruffs. But anyways, he can do multiple things, and he's so good because of his projectile speed. He can just output so much damage. He has infinite supers, so I guess his supers do give support to his teammates by buffing them. But yeah, he's a fantastic brawler. Byron is easily one of the best support brawlers inside of a game. So when you think of support, you think in heals, you think in speeds, etc. And Byron can easily give anyone he wants heals. His main attack is so easy to hit because of the big projectile. His hypercharge it's not anything broken right now, but it's still just such a great extension of an already strong brawler. But Byron can just be good into so many different things, and the good thing about Byron he can be complex in ways, knowing when to heal and deal damage, etc. But if you're just purely, even just playing a damage version of Byron, he's very easy to hit shots with. But last brawler on the list is going to be Pam. So Pam, I just love Pam in this meta, and just because of how like better she's got, I've got to put her on this list, because as a support brawler, as one that heals and just is able to sustain so much life on the map, Pam is just so beefy and tanky right now, and it's all to do with the hypercharge. You need the hypercharge because whether you're playing hot zone or gem grab, you can just put that turret, hypercharge turret, in a safe place and you just don't die. It is absolutely insane the amount of value you can get with it. For that reason, she supports so well and has to be at the top. So now let's move over to your controller category. So controller category, normally it's brawlers that have a decent amount of damage, or these control brawlers are going to be good into your like snipers. They're going to be good at, you know, containing a certain choke point on the map. So when you think of control, you think of maps like Jordan Beetles, and you think of brawlers like Meeple. Meeple is probably the best brawler inside of a game, and the control he can get mainly comes through his box gadget, and it just comes through the ability to throw his super, and he gains control of the map because of how powerful it is. Meeple, enough said, his hypercharge is broken and just easily one of the best brawlers in the game. Otis is next on the controller list. So again, Otis, is he really a controller or is he a damage dealer? He's more so a tank counter in my eyes, but he's easily like the best tank counter inside of the game. So with Otis, he can control an area because of his range. He's got really good range and actually defeats a lot of other control based brawlers because he has one of the best ranges for his category, and the damage as well. He's got the best damage, so he can do pretty much everything in this meta. The last brawler for the controllers is Squeak. So normally when I think of controller brawler, I always just think of Squeak. So in like years and years of Brawl Stars drafting, I always think, okay, so the enemy's gone, I don't know, a Penny, Sniper and something. Well, you know Squeak's going to get infinite value into that. He can wall peek with his main attack. He can just be really toxic with his main attack, just controlling so much. Every single attack with Squeak is controlling because it stays on the ground for a certain amount of time. His residue gadget can get a lot of control. His super can get a lot of control. Squeak is the perfect control brawler, and he's also very good in this meta, so he's very fitting for this video. Now let's move over to the damage dealer class. So damage dealer class, normally it's tank counters or the brawlers that are pretty good in like heist or just high damage snipers. So starting off with Carl then. So Carl is a fantastic damage dealer. He's more of like a hybrid assassin, to be honest, but he can deal a lot of damage just because of his fire gadget. But Carl, he's just so consistent across the board. Yeah, he might not be completely the best damage dealer, quote unquote, but he's the best in his category. Next up for damage dealers, we have Mina. Of course, Mina being a top 2 brawler inside of the game, of course she's going to be excelling in whatever category she's put in, but I consider Mina as an assassin personally because of her like super. You want to get close, deal a lot of damage, but she can deal a lot of damage with her combination attacks. So with her super as well, she can deal so much damage so quickly. So yeah, she can be a damage dealer but also an assassin. That's what makes her such a strong brawler. And lastly for the damage dealers, I went with Mo. So with Mo, he's more of one that isn't going to get like a ton of damage at any given point, but he's all about consistent damage output. When you think of a brawler like Mo or even like Amber, those type of brawlers will always, when I look at ranked or in terms of pro tournaments, these brawlers will always be at the top of the damage list absolutely all the time because they can, again, put out consistent damage, which over time will always lead to you winning games. So for that reason, Mo is absolutely one of the best. So now moving on to your marksman category. So pretty much all of these are going to be snipers, and there's not actually a lot of them. Supercells tend to hate snipers for whatever reason. Please can we get a new sniper, Supercell? Right, so we're going to be starting off with Nani. So Nani has received a big damage buff and a big supercharge rate buff, and it's definitely put Nani back into the meta. Nani was already good into snipers, but now Nani can definitely compete again in like heist, in knockout bounty again. Nani is easily the best marksman. Next up, we have Angelo. So Angelo is probably the best meta marksman. I know I just said Nani, but Nani's the best in terms of like Nani can counter all the other snipers. So if you're ever thinking of one that has the most range, Nani. But with Angelo is more consistent on other game modes, whether it be like heist on Bridge Too Far or Safe Zone or Kaboom Canyon. But Angelo's always going to be an annoying brawler, and with Angelo at least you can defend yourself a bit better against those aggro brawlers thanks to the jump gadget. So I really like Angelo pretty much all the time. And lastly for the marksmen, we have Bell. So to be honest, there's not really a lot of great marksmen in this meta. A lot of them have got just indirectly worse recently, but Belly's always consistent. I feel like I put Bell all the time in my A tier because it just depends on the user. You can get so much value with Bell, and just because of her main attack mechanic, you can always get some good pressure. She's got one really solid gadget, and one can be really annoying as well with the bounce one. I think you can play her in pretty much every game mode, just given the matchup. And finally, moving on to your artillery brawlers, starting off with Juju. Juju has to be one of the best brawlers inside of a game, and that's thanks to the hypercharge. You need the hypercharge, guys. The hypercharge is kind of fast charging, but if you pair it with the slow start power, it can just be devastating for so many players. And with Juju, she's a thrower that can be played in multiple game modes. Knockout and bounty, as long as you're staying within the grass, you're going to be able to compete with other throwers. And then in terms of hot zone, Brawl, you can compete against other brawlers thanks to her super. She can defend themselves against the assassins, unlike a lot of other throwers. So Juju's easily at the top. Next up for the throwers, I've gone with the twins, Larry and Laurie. On anything special in this meta, but at least they're like fairly consistent, and you can play them in multiple situations, but they're mainly more of like a hot zone, Brawl, gem grab type of brawler rather than knockout and bounty. But yeah, they're still pretty good because they're a thrower that can defend themselves against aggro. And then to round off the video, then we have a Barley for artillery brawlers. I just don't think the throwers are really in a great spot right now. Even with all the hypercharge brawlers being nerfed, they're just not the greatest. But Barley is still a fairly decent brawler when you need a particular matchup in hot zone, or to counter Berry and Heist, or just something like that. Then Barley is your guy. So that is going to be it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. So there's a few pre-recorded videos out here, so I really appreciate you guys' support whilst I'm away. So yeah, really appreciate you guys. Yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys soon. Yeah, bye-bye.